Good evening. I see somebody's already in the chat. So, hello there. If you're just tuning in, you're listening live to the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. If you've never been to the show before, welcome. You are listening to United Public Radio Network, otherwise known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or just UPRN. And we are coming to you live from 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And like I said, I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, allergy season, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. And I should tell you, we are broadcasting from New Orleans, Louisiana, actually. So I'm way up here in Canada. And I'll tell you, we have got crazy weather. We are on, I think, Snowmageddon, Spring Snowmageddon 3 here. We were in shorts earlier in the week and freezing rain morning. Now we got 3 inches of snow. I'm telling you, this crazy weather. Crazy, crazy, crazy. You guys let me know how this is coming through. If it's too slow or choppy, let me know. I got my phone ready. I revamped my computer, so I'm hoping it's going to behave itself this evening. And you got little old me this evening again. We're doing a lot of shows like this, and actually I don't mind it, because I don't get a chance to always hang out with all of you and talk about what we want to talk about. But a few housekeeping things. First of all, just to remind you, if you want to be part of the conversation, like Zachman, Robin, who is under Halfern Paranormal, we've got Sandra Sharp here. Come and join us either on UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook or the YouTube channel. I will be able to see your comments and questions, and you can become part of the show. Also, our network, my shows aren't yet on there because why do I always forget my second show? I also co-host a second show on the network on Thursday nights called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed with my good friend, David Hansel. So that'll be coming up this Thursday. But we are on Roku, the network, and many of the amazing shows that we have on the network. If you like what you see, please share, subscribe, let your friends know about the network. We are always getting amazing, fantastic new hosts, new shows, and some of your favorites. I've been around here for a while. I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary. I believe it's at the beginning of July this year. That just flew by. So we are on Roku. If you want to find us on Roku, all you have to do is go to the channel store on Roku. Once you're signed in, you're going to search for UFO space P as in paranormal. And when you do, there's going to be about 4 or 5 things coming up. I believe we're about the 3rd or 4th one down. And you're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio, I believe it says. You click on there, and that's our network channel, so you can find it on there. Also, don't forget, I know Joe... Yeah, he came on my show last week. I was trying to think, was it on The Thing at the Foot of the Bed or the Angel Rock? He was here on the Angel Rock. So we are giving away the network a all expenses paid trip to Los Angeles for the Writers of the Future Awards. And you can check out our Facebook page, I believe. There's information on there to find out more about that. But that's pretty exciting, isn't it? We've never done something like that before. Now, let me read all your comments here. Let me go up. Now, I'm going to let you guys know I got to duck out a few minutes early because if you remember, I believe it was at the end of February, I had my good friend Lorian Fenton on. She's on a different network, and she's involved with MUFON and the Secret Super Soldier program and all kinds of stuff. She's asked me to be a guest on her show, and it starts at 7 p.m. Central. Yeah, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So I got to duck out of here really quick. I'm keeping an eye because I know she works nights, and I'm waiting for her to add me because we connect apparently through Skype with her show. So I may have to duck out a few minutes early, but I'm an old hat at Skype. We used to use Skype a long time ago on here. So we've got Sandra Sharp saying, hello, Lorilei. And then she says, what's with the energy today? Everyone I spoke with for my work sounded confused. I know I was being concise, so it wasn't my ADHD brain going multiple directions at once. I want to talk about that because I will tell you, I have been dragging my butt since Friday, like laying down in the afternoon, like just go to do something, and I'm like just feel like I'm drained. And that's very strange for me because I'm usually going 24 hours a day. So we've got Zach Man here says, good afternoon, everybody. We've got Halfern Paranormal, as I said, or Robin. He's over in the UK. He says, good afternoon, everyone. Or he said, hello. Sorry. He said, Lorilei. Sorry, I read Zach's comment again. Sandra says, hello, Zach man. Sandra says, hello, Sandra. And then Zach, of course, rub it in, Zach, rub it in. 90 degrees and sunny here, only going to get hotter. And then we've got Janie Walker here, but looking for Facebook. Let me pin it on my page. I usually do that. And when I have a guest, I usually sneak and do that. I'll pin it on my profile. It's the easiest way if you're on my friends list to find me. So give me one sec, guys, as I'm talking here. Like I said, we've got Janie here and she's looking for it on Facebook. So you should be able to find it on my profile if you're on my friends list. My Facebook profile is public, so anybody can go on there. So I'm going to pin it right to the top of my profile. It should be on there. The live stream should also be on UFO Paranormal Radio Facebook page too, Jane. We got Michelle here from Australia. She says, good day. And Zachman said, would you be willing to post or send the link to Lorraine Fenton's show tonight? I would love to, but I was thinking about that. I have not got a link from her, Zach. So I'm going to keep an eye. I've got like so many phones here in case we got crazy stuff going on. Sometimes we do. I'm waiting to hear from her because she hasn't added me to Skype yet. So when she does, I will let you guys know. Okay, you're on UFO Paranormal. See, there you are, Janie. I see you. So I will let you know. Actually, while I'm talking to you, I'm going to peek and see if she's even sent me anything yet. Let me see. Lorian, here we go. Sorry, wrong Skype. Desktop. Oh, jeepers. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll have to do that. I'm going to tell her I'm live right now. I'm live. Can't do anything right now. Give me one sec, guys. I want to message her. I'm going to say, can't do anything at the moment. Anything at the moment. My audience is asking what link to your show tonight. I'll say, sorry, guys, I hate to do this while I'm trying to talk to you guys. Show tonight. Of course, I checked this just before I went live, and she sent it right when I went live, of course. She doesn't realize that I'm live on my show. That's why. And there's a 3-hour difference because she's over in California. So and I'm in Ontario in Canada here. So there's 3 hours difference. Right. We definitely need the link to Lorian's show. Okay. I just sent it to her, guys. I should probably send her a link. Maybe I'll send her a link, an invite to the show tonight. Hang on. That where we are. I'll send it to her right now so she can know we're talking to her and talking about her, and maybe she can post here. I'm just waiting for my phone to come up. Here we go. I did try and type that as I'm talking out loud to you guys because we don't want any dead airspace here. Just to remind people you're listening live, but if you catch the replay, because I get a lot of people messaging me saying, oh no, I missed the live show. You never have to worry. There is always an archived video and audio replay. Video is on Facebook. It's on YouTube. I have it backed up on my YouTube channel. I believe it's even backed up on my Rumble, I realize, and I have an Odyssey channel too. I just use them as backups. But all the show videos are all featured on a YouTube channel, and then UFO Paranormal Radio, the Facebook page as well. So you guys will always find that there. Audio, anywhere where podcasts or talk radio is carried, we are carried. Like I think we're on 200 different platforms. So we will wait and see what happens when I hear from Lori, and hopefully it will be soon. She's probably having coffee right now. She's doing something with night when she works nights. I know that. So, and I sent her, of course, I didn't realize there was a different link for Skype. I've never encountered that because, like I said, we used to use Skype before we went to StreamYard, and now I produce my own show. But I know with Skype, I never noticed a difference between like mobile or desktop. I'm sure there is though. And of course it came right up right next to this. But the problem is, guys, if I'm signed into Skype while I'm on StreamYard, believe me, it will sound like aliens are speaking. We'll see if she sent me a message. This is awful. I hate doing this. See, usually when I have a guest, I can sneak all these things in and do 10 things at once. You guys got to bear with me tonight. Hang on. So what's up with you guys? Okay, guys, got the link for you. It's I don't want to type it because what's going to happen, it'll go on 7 different platforms here. But I will try and post this, but I'm going to tell you guys where to find it because she just sent it to me. So hang on. She says it is at HTTPS. So you've got // revolution.radio. That's where she's at. And it's in Studio A, the Fenton Perspective. So I'm sure if you even look up the Fenton Perspective, you'll be able to find it. So once we're live, I'll probably send a link and post it on Facebook anyways, but just so you guys know while you're listening, if you want to check it out. So I'm sure we'll be having an interesting conversation. So guys, what's going on in your world? Have you guys caught anything crazy? Because I'll tell you, I have got some crazy stuff. I post some of the stuff that I see, but okay, so I even sent this one to Joe, who is on, obviously owns the network, has many of our good shows here, Joe Montaldo. He provides this wonderful platform for all of us hosts here. He's got UFO Undercover, sometimes Writers of the Future. He switches back and forth on Wednesday nights. He has The Centralist, which is like a political platform show. He does the Gray Zone Uncensored with Michelle DeRoche. He does all kinds of stuff, so you'll see him all over. So anyways, I even sent it to him because he is one of the, I believe, founders, or at least he's kind of one of the bigger honchos with this website called ICAR, which is the International Center for Alien Research. So I don't know if you guys saw this post that was going around. Hang on and grab a drink. And it was on Twitter. I don't know. I don't think anybody sent it to me either. I think it just came up in my Twitter feed. And what it was, and I don't go on Twitter that often, somebody sent me a link to something else, which was pretty amazing. And then this came up in my feed. So it looks like a guy with just a regular cell camera, and his cute little dog is like bouncing around the backyard. And then he focuses up to the sky, and it looks like this big saucer. And as he's filming, all of a sudden the saucer comes closer, closer, closer. And then right where it gets over, like he looks like he has one of those shade awnings from those late night commercials from the 80s, that shades the heat off of your backyard where you're 90-degree weather like you, Zach. Anyways, as it seems to get, it's really far and it gets really close all of a sudden, right till it gets, like it looks almost like it's going to land on his roof. And right when it gets there, it shoots off. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, is this a crappy Photoshop? But then somebody that posted this, and as it's coming closer, you hear him use expletive language that I can't say on the radio right now. So to me, that kind of added a little bit of authenticity. But then somebody slows it down. So you get to watch it all over again. And it literally, like it wasn't a cut in the feed. It just shot off. Even Joe said, I don't know, is this a drone? Like, could be Photoshop? Who knows? Like, but he couldn't definitely say that's a fake. So Robin said, I set a camera up in my kitchen as earlier today my kettle switched on by itself and boiled. I wonder if it was Julie. Holy crap. I got to tell you this, Robin. As soon as you said I was reading that, I heard, yep, it was me. So take it for what you will. I think Julie is around you. I really do. Well, I know she's around you, but I think she's letting you know. Well, what you can do next time something like that happens, ask, Julie, is that you? And Julie is Robin's late wife. He just lost her a few months ago. And I know you'd mentioned it before. On here, Robin, that's why I said something, and I send my deepest empathy and condolences to you and your family. But I do believe that was Julie, and I would ask her next time, because I'm going to answer your question just a minute here, Michelle, because I will tell you, people I know that are in the truth-seeking community, I am one of them, recently posted something that was done to their vehicle, and thank the powers that be, they got in the vehicle and went, I don't know why something doesn't seem right here. And as they backed up, their car started acting very crazy. Well, long story short, they brought it in and somebody tried to saw their back wheels off, right where the axle is. You can see where it was sawed and what have you. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world. Anyways, where I was going with this is, when I connect with others that connect with spirit, and sometimes we chat about what's going on in the world, what's coming up. I can tell you crazy things happen with the computer, crazy stuff. And so we've taken to the point of just saying, and I don't know if it's spirit, I don't know if it's energy, I don't know what it is. But like we're talking green lines and the screen turning sideways. And it always happens when we start discussing a particular topic. So we've taken to just saying, okay, we know you're there, knock it off, cut it off, cut it out. And then it'll stop. Sometimes it comes back, but it will stop. So I don't know what it is. But anyways, I'm going to read Michelle's comment. Who took the footage? Be nice to talk to them. Let me check my phone here. I'll be able to maybe tell you guys who did it, because I think I've got it in Messenger here. I should have it with Joe, actually. If I look him up, there's Joe right there. So let me see. I'm still going. Yeah, here it is. So hopefully I shouldn't have any volume on here. It's under on Twitter, like UFO in big letters -hunter. So if you're on Twitter, you should be able to see it. I'm sure if you're on TikTok or something, it would be, but it doesn't say who took the video. It just says, if this video is real, this would be the most awaited video by UFO enthusiasts. So I can't say, I mean, I can play it for you guys. You know why I don't upload videos? First of all, we're getting so many hosts. We have a dashboard here. It's pretty well filled with people's video and audio things, like what we start with at the beginning of the thing at the foot of the bed and things like that. So it's pretty hard to upload a video, but I'll try and show you guys here. Let me see if I can. There's the little dog. Okay, so it's hard. I'll try and angle it. It's hard to see. I know the light's really bright. Here, let's see. Oh, there we go. I don't know why I'm getting a square there. That's from my phone. I have no idea why. Okay, so watch. It gets really close. I don't have the audio on, by the way. And it shoots off, right? So at first I thought, well, that looks kind of fake. Oh, that was the end part. That's when he slowed it down. So that's what it is, UFO Hunter. So maybe I'll ask Lorraine about it tonight. Weird. It starts with, if this video is real. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, this just came up. No, it's right at the beginning. So I'll play it from the beginning from you, because that was the slow part. So let me see. Okay, so you can see the little dog. See how high up it is? Here, I'll try and turn it. So, oops. Okay, see, it's getting closer, 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 closer. Then it shoots off. So he slows it down because it looks really fake when it shoots off. So I don't know. I mean, people can do just about anything with video now, right? Because with that deep fake, software and video technology that's out there, it's actually kind of scary, because they can say somebody that's really good at voice impersonations, or even somebody saying something on a tape, they can take their face and make it look like they're speaking, and it's pretty weird. So lo and behold, my eldest son and I posted on Facebook. It was a video. I noticed this spot. I can't notice it tonight it's not quite nighttime. It's only 6:30 here, but there's a really heavy cloud cover. But it was 2 nights in a row, and it was this very tiny, tiny, faint. It was about 12:30 at night, and it was a little tiny dot, but all of a sudden it would seem to go from 1 dot to 2 dots to 3 dots, and it would get really bright. Then it would look like it was spinning and turn different colors. Now, of course, Dell, my partner who I live with, is the world's biggest skeptic, even after what we've been through. Oh, hello there. Are you coming up here? Sorry, my cat's deciding if she's coming to join us or not. Anyways, so Justin and I took a video. Now, my youngest is always worried about things like that, because he can read and write, and he knows how to use the computer. And somehow, some way, he found a video years ago about Planet X, Nibiru. So he's terrified that bad things are going to be happening. And it was actually Joe, when I had one of these conversations years ago, and he made a really good point, because I said, like, what do we do? Like, if we ever had an invasion or something with, extraterrestrials, or, UFOs, or like actually landing. And it made so much sense to me. What Joe had said to me years ago was, if they were going to do something, They would have done it long ago. And he's right. They would have. Did I see the spiral in the sky, Mr. BBB? Cats, yes, they are nosy. I found some hilarious. Yes, she's over in the corner here. She's still deciding what she's going to do. Did I see the spiral in the sky, Mr. BBB? Put it up. No, I didn't, Michelle. I watch him from time to time. I know I have shared your pictures that you have shared on one of the shows. I think it was a show I did on my own. It might have been somebody I was talking UFOs with, and Michelle got this picture of these clouds that look like it's almost a square. And he got 6 different photos from all around the world on YouTube, the same cloud formation. And then it looked like, Michelle, you filmed it you took pictures a couple hours later, and it looked like it had transformed a little bit, but it's really strange. So something came up with Mr. BBB. What is it, Mr. BBB 333? I forget what it is on YouTube. But it was a notification like, you've never seen anything like this or something, and I hadn't checked it out. So that's what I was saying when Sandra, you had asked about the energy, because I don't know what this is. I'm not sick, knock on wood, but I just exhausted. Like, for me to lay down in the afternoon for a couple hours, and it's been since Friday. Today I didn't lay down, but I didn't get a heck of a lot done. That's for sure. Actually, you know what I started watching? You guys know, most of you that know me well, I'm a true crime fan as well, is I wasn't planning on watching this. I was watching something on Netflix. What did I watch? Oh, Joe Coy. Oh my God, that guy's hilarious as a comedian. So I was watching that, and before I could turn it off, this new thing starts playing, and it's a documentary episode series, and it's called I Am a Killer. And I'm thinking, what the heck is this thing? Like, is it like a dramedy, or is it like something serious? Is it real? It's actually really fascinating stories of people that have gone to jail for taking another person's life. But it gets into the backstory of who they are. They, at certain times, depending on the story, they will contact the victim's family. They will go to the prosecutors. They'll go to the police, just kind of trying to tell a whole rounded story behind how many lives were affected, maybe possibly getting into motive and stuff like that. I've watched about 6 episodes today while I've been doing laundry and stuff, and it's an interesting story. And I don't know why I look at true crime. If anything, though, I think it helps us have a questioning mind to look at things from all different perspectives and aspects, regardless of what that is: the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, angels, spirituality, anything. I think it gives us a really questioning mind to look at things and kind of consider all aspects that sometimes we aren't taught to always look at. So it's definitely an interesting series. So Michelle says, yeah, you've got drained energy. And Sandra says, I've been exhausted for a week now. Well, isn't that weird? And then you were saying, I'm going to go back to, oh, geez, my light just went up as I'm speaking of energy. You were saying, Sandra, that at work, is that what you said? People are, what's with the energy today? Everyone you spoke with from my work sounded confused. I know I was being concise, so it wasn't my ADHD brain going in multiple directions at once. So when someone asks me a question like that, I always ask them, what were you feeling when it happened? Besides probably, obviously, quite puzzled and possibly frustrated, but were you sensing anything yourself? How about anybody else out here that we're talking with the live chat here? What are you guys feeling? What are you picking up? What are you guys seeing? So there's, I'll wait till somebody types something here, but I will tell you the other thing, and I don't usually like to watch him because I think he's kind of a jackass. He's a Canadian, and his channel's called How to Hunt. And he reads stories of people writing in to talk about Bigfoot encounters and things like that. And this particular episode, I don't watch him all the time, but it came up because I guess he streams live, and he lives out in the country in British Columbia. And in one of his live streams, one of his viewers picked up there was some kind of being way in the background I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or he was calling them Sewas or something. That was the first time I've ever used that term. Have you guys heard that term before? It was he was calling them, even when he was referring to dogmen and everything else. It was like everybody that wrote in or everybody that was talking about it's like this term I haven't heard before. And I could have it wrong. It was something like Sewas or Seja. It wasn't Sejas, it was like Sewa. So I'm imagining it's something First Nation, and maybe it has to do with like what we use as an encompassing term of cryptid. But I still found it odd because I've never seen him use that term before. And Dell was on a kick with his channel a couple of years ago, so I practically heard a gazillion videos from him. So I'm not sure, because I'll tell you, he's got some interesting stuff. I want to ask you guys about this actually. I know Dell's asked a couple of his friends that are police officers here, because where we live in Canada, kind of smack dab in the middle, we live on the shores of Lake Superior, one of the largest freshwater Great Lakes in the world. And so it's not like we're covered in trees and bush and everything where, in the city where I live, but on the outskirts, it's very similar to what Bigfoot country could look like. And you get all kinds of stories. There's somebody I've had on my show years ago. His name's D. Macaulay, and he has a channel called Thunderstriker Films, and he is Métis, which is First Nations and another nationality. So he's gone around and made quite a few documentary films about, a lot of the cryptid type activity around here, UFOs. I don't believe he's got anything extraterrestrial, but he also has taken a lot of the older notorious places in the city that are known to be extremely haunted. I know Michelle DeRoche, who's been on Canada's Most Haunted and many different TV shows. She was on our Paranormal Survivor episode before we knew who she was. And she's been to our city before, and she has said, oh my God, your city is like crazy for activity. So I don't know. We'll see what I don't know if this was for real or not. The guy that was reading, I want to say his name is Steve, off of, it's called How to Hunt. So that's where I was going with this. Sorry, I have to come back because I keep talking. So Dell had asked some of his friends that are police officers, is apparently this guy on How to Hunt, and I could have his name wrong, but I think it's Steve. He gets, like I said, letters sent in from all over, mostly North America, talking about Bigfoot encounters, or Sasquatch, or now they're calling it Sewa, because Sandra just said, I have heard that term. I think it's an American Indigenous term. And people have claimed, because that's been my biggest thing, why do they never find the body of Bigfoot? You know what? If it's a living, eating, breathing entity here, why do they not find them? So some of the stories, quite a few actually, that have been written into this particular channel, How to Hunt, a lot of people have claimed that they maybe shot one or ended the life of one, usually not on purpose. Like some people shot at it because they thought it was a deer or whatever. So they said that what's ended up happening, if they call, say, the police to report it, that they're claiming that within a 2-hour window, that the higher ups, will say, of the alphabet soup organizations show up and take over the scene and take over the body of Bigfoot. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard that before? Oh, Derek. Hey, Derek. Good to see you. So Robin says, I've been looking for something different to do lately to try and take my mind off my problems. I'm buying an electric guitar, going to start playing again. Right on. So, okay, now you got a different hair color. A new hair color looks good, Robin. So are you joining Def Leppard? I got to ask that. And that's a joke, because I know Robin loves Def Leppard. So, Derek, you found a picture. Yeah, does Bigfoot even die? Well, that's what this guy is claiming. Well, Derek lives out in British Columbia. Do you know the guy that does a channel, How to Hunt, Derek? Because he's been claiming, that's when you popped in here. You said you found a Bigfoot. You said after you drop an iron on it? I just got the joke. Do you know his channel? because he's claiming this. Like I know, and I guess in one of the letters, and a lot of people stay anonymous in the letters that write in, they claim that apparently they're supposed to be within any place in North America that within about a 2-hour, 3-hour window, that somebody higher up within the Alphabet Soup organization, there's a number you can call and they'll show up if you encounter, say a dogman and it's a body or something that the public isn't aware of. Let's put it that way in general. Like it's going to freak the public out. So I know he's asked his friends, a couple that are cops, they go, no, I'm not aware of anything like that. So I don't know. So do they die? I don't know. If you really ask me, I believe Bigfoot is dimensional, interdimensional. I do. I really, really do. I was listening to some interesting information last night about it was First Nations people talking about it, and they said that basically they're our ancestors. The person that wrote in, they taught us, what to eat, what was good, what the medicine was, and so on, and that if they felt they could trust you, that then they would appear to you. And it was a letter actually written by a woman, Indigenous First Nations woman that was in her 40s, and they wrote blueberry picking, apparently, and they knew of Bigfoot and where they lived. She lived with her grandparents, and she was out with her grandmother, and she'd heard something in a bush, the story went. So she told her grandmother she was just going to go to the bush a little ways away and go pick some berries. But she went around, and she couldn't have been more than 4 or 5. And she shared her story about she actually grabbed the Bigfoot's hand and was measuring the hand, and they had a very positive encounter, and nobody would believe her. And then she said that the Bigfoot spoke to her telepathically and asked her where she lived. And then she said nobody would believe her about this. The grandmother obviously knew what she was talking about because she said her grandmother wouldn't let her out of her sight when they got back home or anything. And then the Bigfoot came to their house, and she was trying to explain to them it was the same one because she had measured her hand against the Bigfoot's hand, like held her hand up to it and touched him. So when she said when he came to their yard, he held his hand up like to show her, like, I'm the same one. So it was quite an interesting encounter. We can't call in, Derek. That's the only problem. We're different on here now because we use StreamYard, and we don't have a call-in number. Wish we did, but we don't. Robin, I wish. You never know, Robin. Think big. Who knows? Maybe you'll be touring with Def Leppard. Who knows? I think that's cool, though. Like you said, you're searching for something to take your mind off of things. And when I'm working with people or doing some mentoring or, some teaching or whatever, and I don't know if you yourselves are running into people, but I am people that feel kind of like at a crossroad, or a lot of people are asking like, why am I here? What's my purpose? And I don't like to tell people what their purpose is. I think that that's kind of a gift for you, meaning the global you, whoever's asking that question, for you to unwrap and discover, because nobody knows you better than you. So, some of the things that I do suggest when connecting with spirit is if you're not sure where to go with things, or like you said, Robin, you're looking for something to take your mind off of things. The best way to start is to go to a place of something that brings you joy. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what brings me joy. So the next place that spirit often suggests is, and I believe most of the times, if you don't know where to go for something that'll bring you joy, go back to when you were a child. What did you love to play with? What did you dream about? What kind of books did you like to read? What did you want to be when you grew up? Or, usually there's always something that we loved as children. And it may not be the same as in adulthood, but it's a place to start to build off of. So I think that is awesome, Robin. I can't wait to hear how that goes. And I encourage it wholeheartedly because we have to remember that we're creators, right? Because that's a lot of what I've been getting from spirit lately is we have forgotten who we are. And so I've even asked the question that I recognize that, I get that, but there's going to be a lot of people, and I have run into a lot of people sharing this message is, how do we forget who we are if we never knew who we were in the first place, right? It's a good place to start. So I think what we forget, and if you think about this, right, everything on this planet comes from, besides nature, somebody has thought of, somebody has dreamt up, somebody has created, maybe somebody's channeled the plans or ideas for it, but we are creators, we are manifestors. And it's even for myself to share this. Sometimes it's hard to, especially if we know we've got a block. Like I always share with you guys personally what's going on. And for me, I'm working on animal communication. And can I do it? No, I keep trying. But the harder I want to do it, the more like I feel that when we connect with spirit, right, it's meant to flow. And I also know I'm standing in my own way. So it's working on these things that are creating these blockages for us, right? Because I don't want to say I can't do it, because I know I'd be able to do it. I believe that's our birthright, to be able to connect with others. And if we really are a part of each other, and, even a part of God, the universe, your higher power, whatever you believe that is, somebody or something or source, as I like to call it as well, has created all of this to begin with when it comes to nature, right? And you go back to that, we're made in that image. And what I think some people get hung up on, and David and I were talking about this a bit on Thursday night, is, remember, if you were there, you heard that somebody was asking, was saying that animals don't have souls, and they can't have souls because only human beings were made in God's image. And I think David answered it beautifully with the fact that he said we're getting hung up on what the outside looks like rather than we're looking at the energy of who we are, the soul of who we are. Because we're eternal beings. And so animals are part of that. We're part of everything, right? It's all come from source. So, and if you think about it, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? One of the rules of the universe, but it can be transferred from one place to another. So I almost get the image of, if you will, I know it's very humanized and simplified, but if you think about, right, you've got source. It's not a man sitting in the clouds with a big white beard wearing a cloak and what have you, but just energy, right? And it's almost like taking a little to him. I don't want to call it. That sounds disrespectful. How about I'll say they? They take a piece of energy and then mold it into, say, humans, and mold it into ET, and mold it into the animals, and so on and so forth. I don't know. Just something to think about. I'm going to read some of these comments here. So we got Sandra. I agree about Bigfoot being interdimensional. And Zachman says, I've had a massive block on exploring my creativity. In some ways, me being able to make jokes may be aspects of my creativity coming through the cracks. And Michelle says, yes, I've had a massive block too, Zachman. So frustrating. So let's talk about that. So you're feeling like you've got a massive block on exploring your creativity. So I know both of you. So, oh, hi, Ken. Yes, animals have souls. Yes, yes, we talked about that on Thursday night with my other show, Ken, that I co-host with David. I was bringing it up because of what I was talking about, but thank you for joining. So, Zach, so you say you've got a massive block. Now, some of the things I know that you love, okay, and that you enjoy, cigars, right? Anything to do with cigars, cigar shops, whatever. So, looking at these kind of things, yes, you do have a great sense of humor, make the best jokes. So, I don't know why this just came in my head, and I don't like to tell people, but do you draw? I just heard cigar comic. I don't know what that means. If it means drawing some kind of comic strip or something with that, but where I'm going with that is, so you start out where your interest is, and then build from that. Like if it feels old or it feels stagnant or you feel like you're blocked with, I'm using cigars. So what else is associated with cigars? And looking into things that maybe you never explored or looked at or thought it would be possible to do. So, like, honestly, and again, I don't like to tell people what to do, but I'm giving you just a suggestion, Zach. So, I've always said to people, there's no better time to start a podcast than right now. People are looking for alternative forms of entertainment, or, this is sort of geared to typical type of topic, right? Either spirituality, the paranormal, power of the mind, what have you, right? So people are looking for stuff like that. You have a great knowledge when it comes to cigars, Zach. Have you ever thought about maybe starting your own channel? Doing a show on it, and these are just ideas I'm throwing out there, but to take what you love, or like Robin, like you said, you're looking for something to take your mind off of things. And I applaud that. You're going to you've got an electric guitar. You're going to get back into playing music. Fantastic. Fantastic. Because the thing sometimes I think we forget too, I believe all of us as human beings are healers. And what we don't realize is it's not talking about going to a hospital and becoming a nurse, but, with what we create, what we put out there, whether it's music, maybe it's a drawing, maybe it's supporting a friend, maybe it's talking to someone, whatever that may be. And when we navigate towards joy, right? Especially if it's meant for somebody else or to be shared with others, right? When we uplift somebody's spirit in any way, shape, or form, that can be very healing. So even looking at that, and then when we do stuff for others too, it's actually one of the biggest gifts to ourselves, right? Because it makes us feel good. I've met very few people that have said to me, no, I don't like to help anybody. I'm only here for myself. There are people out there like that. But I find a lot of people will say, I love to help people. This is why I do what I do, right? So even at looking at that, something that when we're feeling in a place of joy, or we're feeling really happy, or doing something that makes us happy, that's when I think some of these creative blocks start to lift too, because you realize, hey, this is making me feel good. And maybe if you're sharing it with others, it's making others feel good, and you start to build on that and grow from it. Now, Michelle, you said you've had some massive blocks too. That's the other thing. Let's take it from there too. So then we look at it, and if you're not really sure what's causing it, most of us do, right? It's when we got to have that quiet moment, whether good time sometimes is right before we're going to sleep, or especially right before we're really fully awake in the morning. Have a pen and paper by your bedside and ask yourself some questions if you can. And if you can't, even if you've got a few moments to clear your mind, take some deep breathing and ask, what is this block I'm feeling? Where is it coming from? Why am I feeling the way I am? Why am I feeling stuck? And then take the answer that you get, because we do know, we do know the answers. All of us know the answers. It's just a matter of, a lot of times we've been conditioned to think, oh my God, that was my imagination. I made that up. No, it can't be that simple. Or sometimes we don't want to hear what the truth is. We know what the truth is, but we don't want to hear it. And even acknowledging that, that's okay. So it's really getting down deep into what's causing that block. And if you're not sure, that's when you talk to someone. I'm not promoting myself here. I rarely ever do that. But say you book a reading maybe with somebody, or you, like I do chakra work. Maybe there's an energetic block there that's causing you to feel blocked. Sometimes rebalancing the chakras. That's what crystal Reiki is. Or there's many different ways to do it. Heck, there's meditations on YouTube. There's, you name it, you can find different ways to balance the chakras. But like I said, being really honest with ourselves, sometimes even too, asking ourselves that question before we go to bed at night, and asking your higher self, if you will, ask your guides, ask the angels, ask, maybe you've got some loved ones in spirit to come through to you in the dream state and help you figure out the answers, if they've got some insight or wisdom that can be shared, because we're very open when we're asleep, and a lot of information comes through in the dream state. I'm just going to read your your comments here. So Ken says, yes, animals have souls. And then he says, great to see you on now. Thank you. Well, I'm always on at this time on Mondays now. I haven't seen you in a long time, Ken. I was just thinking about you a couple of weeks ago. I was thinking, gosh, I haven't talked to Ken in forever. So I do have a second show since I've talked to you. It's on Thursday nights with a really good friend of mine, David Hansel. Normally I have guests, but we've been having a few hangouts here. And you know what? I love doing this with you guys, because we get to talk about whatever we want. And that's the fun in it, right? You guys can ask questions, and feel free if you've got questions. So Anyways, it's Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just David and I. And what we do is we usually pick a topic to start with, but if some of these people in the chat can tell you, we go all over the place. The audience, a live audience, plays a big part of the show. And we let you know that we're not experts, but from our own personal experiences or what we receive from spirit. David's had a near-death experience. I believe I've had one as a toddler. Plus, I have studied near-death experiences for over 40 years, professionally and personally. So it might be what happens when we die, or what are ghosts, or what is Bigfoot? What's a dog man? What are UFOs? What are ETs? Like things like that. And we talk about all that stuff. Okay, Robin, you take care. Try and get some sleep. I know it's late over there in the UK. I'm glad you were able to pop by. Take care. I'm getting to you. I see your comment here. Oh my God, I'm going to screw up this name and I'm so sorry. I will try and say it properly. So Michelle says, smoke it up with Zach, man. And then Zach says, when I think of cigar comic, I think of George Burns. Oh, wasn't he the best? I certainly do come up with my best jokes when I'm having a cigar. Yeah, okay, so let's take that for a second. I do want to yell. I do want to say hi, and please forgive me because I'm going to mess up your name. It looks like it's Birlasek, Biralak. Hi from Azerbaijan, I think it is. Please forgive me if I've messed that up. I apologize. But hi, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. So you said I certainly come up with my best jokes when I'm having a cigar, right? So you know you love that. And you know, like, look what happens when you're having a cigar. How does that make you feel? I know because I know Zach, but how does it make you feel, right? Like you said, you come up with your best jokes. Like what else works for you there? So when you're feeling blocked, right, it sounds to me like having a cigar kind of helps with that block and gets you in a great frame of mood. And then you start to come out with some really great humor. And then you can build from that, right? Like you said, when you're feeling blocked, like that can certainly help with that. Michelle says, I will get there. Thanks, Laura. I know you will. And sometimes what I do want to acknowledge, because I'm hearing this from spirit, sometimes we just feel really blocked and our energy so low. I'm not calling people depressed, but it almost feels like that, so heavy that there's many things that we want to do, but we just can't. You just feel so low and heavy that anything you think about, there's a lot of things maybe we think about doing, but we just don't have the energy to move forward and do it. So that's when I like to, and I do this for myself. I just shared at the beginning of the show, I didn't get anything done this weekend, but you know what? I had to give myself grace. I had to give myself space. And I realized that, right, especially if we like to give to others, we can't pour from an empty cup. So we have to take time filling up our own cup. And obviously, I needed to do that this weekend. And instead of beating myself up because I had a gazillion things to do, I went, nope, this must be what I need to do. So I guess this is what we're doing. So maybe if we're really feeling in that kind of low space, and there's a lot of people that are, there are things you can still do for yourself. Sometimes, and I know not everybody's going to want to do this, but I'm speaking in the spirit of what I've used, and you can build off of that. I call it spa day. So what do? You know what? Color my hair, or maybe I put on a facial, maybe I do whatever. Now, maybe there's guys that don't want to do that or women that don't want to do that. That's okay. But there's little things that we can do for ourselves that always make us feel good, that don't take a lot of energy. Maybe, you know what, you give yourself the grace and space that I'm having one of these days where I have no energy to move forward. So we all have favorite movies. Maybe you've got one that always makes you laugh. You can put that on. Heck, you could spend the whole day and have, put the whole Star Wars saga on, or you know what I'm saying? But really just spending that time nurturing yourself. I call it babying yourself. So it's almost like most of us, if we had a caregiver or mother or grandmother or somebody, grandfather, father, whomever it may be, that say when we were sick and we were little, right? And there's all these special things that our caregiver would do for us. Well, now maybe while we're adults, we have, thank you. I was going to say that, Michelle. I'm going to read that in a minute. So we have to be that for ourselves. So you baby yourself, right? All the little things that you don't take time to do for yourself that make you feel good, you do that. So, or Michelle said music can be good too. I have to say, music is the number one thing I know for myself. I can't speak for everybody, but there are days. I've told you guys this. I don't talk about it very often, but I'm a chronic pain sufferer. I don't tell people because it doesn't serve any purpose to tell people. It is what it is. I once had a mentor tell me, she said, "You don't tell people because you don't think you deserve people's empathy and pity." I went, "No, that's not it at all. It doesn't serve any purpose, right? For me, it doesn't. It may for somebody else. It's just like, you know what? I just kind of go with the flow. Some days you're going to have good days, some days not so good days. And again, I think it's really important to hold space for ourselves and have that grace with ourselves that, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to get everything done that I need to get done today, and that's okay. Because think about it, especially like say you want to clean the house and get all the laundry and get all this stuff done. Guess what? It's all going to be there tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. So if you have to take a day off, you take a day off. So excuse me, I'm going to go up a little bit with the comments. I saw that Ken, tell us what band you're going to see. You always go see the best bands. I've seen your videos up there. He lives, I think, in the Toronto area, so they get really great music down there. Um, hey, Zach, man, make a smudging cigar. Wouldn't that be cool? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And Michelle says, calm the world down. I'm smoking, I mean smudging right now, Zach says. And yeah, so I'd like to hear about this band you're going to see, Ken. That's cool. But yeah, music, like music, like I said, I could be dragging my butt. And I usually what I do is I turn on the tunes, Port Credit. Oh, you live in Port Credit. Okay, got it, in the Toronto area. But I turn on some really good music, and sure enough, I'm really energized. I feel like doing stuff. And Michelle says it does serve a purpose. Others feeling the same while understanding and relate. Absolutely. Tom Barlow, you said is a band, Ken. I don't think I've heard of him before, but I'm sure he's a good band because Ken usually posts them on Facebook, and I end up seeing a little clip, and they're pretty awesome. Howie, I'm so glad you're here. Um, I can make a video. I think you're going to write tonight. I'm not sure. Yay, Howie. We're all over the place here. We're talking about energy blocks, and then we were talking about Bigfoot. I asked you guys too if anybody has seen or heard of any really weird, strange stuff. Play some Doobie Brothers or something that makes you want to dance. Hey, if Doobie Brothers makes you want to dance, the reason why this show is called The Angel Rock is because I connect with the angels and work with the angels. And I do love crystals, but the other reason is I love rock music. So normally it's a little bit hot. Or am I back here, guys? I was just about, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me because that was weird. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. You know what I'm going to do? If you can hear me, I think what I'm going to do. Oh, you're here. Oh, okay. I went, okay, good, because everything went black here on my end. I have my phone. I was just going to sign in on, if that happens, guys, don't go anywhere. And I will sign in on my phone here on StreamYard because with the snowstorm and everything else. No, it wasn't you. It was me. I don't know what I did. All of a sudden, it just went black. Like it didn't say no signal, nothing. And it wasn't my computer. It was StreamYard, like the stream. It was so weird. So I'm glad because I was just going to say, I was going to like close this and hop right back on. That's why I have this stuff ready. I never used to have these problems. Oh, I don't know why my camera's on. I never used to have these problems. And then all of a sudden, over the last month and a half, we've had crazy stuff. So, Howie, you were saying something before we had our little interruption. Okay. What if the paranormal is ufology? Yes, I agree with you. I think it is. It all is, right? It's all in semantics and the way you label it. That's why I call it the unexplained, the strange, the unusual, sometimes the weird. It's not that I call it strange, unusual, and weird, but there are a lot of people that do. But have you guys ever noticed this? Like I always said, especially when we lived in our previous home, that living with the paranormal was always really almost kind of lonely and isolating, because I like to talk to people when I'm out and about, and lots of times people come talk to me that I don't even know. They'll just come tell me their whole life story. And I find though, say you're standing in line or on queue, depending on where you live, and you're waiting to pay for your groceries. It's not like you're going to start talking about your paranormal experience that you had in your haunted house. You're not. But what I find is, depending on where you are and you're having a discussion with a group of people, and somebody kind of gently wiggles the door open to the paranormal just a teeny tiny bit, and then somebody else does it, and then somebody just kicks it wide open, and then you find out usually 95% of the group has had some kind of experience or something unexplained and very memorable, regardless of what it is. Usually those ones usually come, I find, when people share their stories from childhood. But the thing is, it's like everybody's had something like this, practically everybody. But we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to feel weird or strange or unusual. Oh, sorry, Ken, you said you heard we had a big storm here? Yeah, there is. There is. And we were in shorts the other day. You say your internet is poor, and Zach says, I'm the guy that kicks it wide open. Yeah, I get that, Zach. Like, when we finally meet in person, I've known you for, well, everybody on here I know practically. But the thing is, right? Say you don't know a bunch of people, but like say, okay, so say I meet out and I haven't, I've just met Sandra. Is the computer confused? No, now God knows. Okay, so say we meet in person, Zach, right? And we start talking, and of course we'll have that door wide open. And anybody that's in the group will be like jumping in, talking about it, it'll be no problem. But it's people that don't, they've had an experience, they feel very alone, and they don't know if they can talk about it. Like Howie says, crap, I will talk about it in a heartbeat in front of anyone. Yeah, well, so will I. And it's just like I said, somebody opens it a crack. Hang on. Like most of the people, my neighbors and stuff, know that we've been on Paranormal Survivor. It's not us telling them. The old property manager, the town, because we're in townhouses here, practically told everybody. Now the cool part is, one of my next door neighbors is a funeral, like she does the funeral preparations and stuff like that, and body preparations. So she doesn't believe in a lot of weird stuff, but I'll tell you, has she got some stories from the funeral home? Let me tell you, like crazy stuff. We will meet up someday, Zach. Yes, you and I and Dell. Yes, we will. Eventually, we will. You got to make your way up to Canada. Well, I don't think you want to come up here right now. I actually saw a really strange video. And this is kind of, I'm going to read your comment in a minute, Howie. This is kind of good to keep in mind, because it doesn't matter whether it's a paranormal or we see some, I hate the word conspiracy. I'd rather use the word truth seeking. Say we see something strange out there and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to send it to people. Like, not everybody's like that, but some people are. What I've been finding, and I've been guilty of it in the past too, but what I've been finding, for example, somebody sent me a video and it looked like there was a scanner in a store, like you had to scan your ID. And they had the comment, where is this in Canada? And I'm going, And I'm thinking intuitively, I'm not hearing this from Canada. So I take a quick look, and I had to do a bit of a search, and I found out where it was from. But the problem is, we don't even know if this is for real, right? So that's what I'm saying. And maybe it's being in the paranormal, we realize this as well, that we got to ask, right? Where did this happen? Who is involved? Is there more more witnesses to back it up, what have you, because people don't think these things, right? Like I said, this video came with no date on it. We didn't know who the person's name was or anything like that. And like getting back to the deep fakes I was talking about earlier, the technology that's out there. Howie, you weren't here when we were doing it, and I didn't upload the video, but I showed it was off of Twitter with this UFO, and it was with UFO-hunters thinking, is this real or isn't it? I don't know if it's real or not, but there's just not enough information. Plus, with the deep fake technology out there, did somebody do a really good deep fake? So Howie says, I went to a military academy. Went to a military academy A. The cadets would come to me asking questions. That was 30 years ago. You must just have that kind of energy, Howie, because like I said, I don't bring it up unless, and it's not that I'm afraid of it. It's just that some people just don't want to talk about it. So, but then again, maybe that's the kind of people we're attracting to when we have that kind of energy about us, right? Because we usually attract people that mirror kind of the energy we put out there. So maybe that's why you were finding people like that, Howie. So Zach, he said, I'll show you my best Canadian accent, which doubles as an unintentional impression of Dell. I'll have to tell him that one. And Sandra says, I love talking about weird stuff. If the conversation comes around to it, I'm happy to go there. Yeah, because is it really weird or strange? It's not. And like I said, just I don't even know where that came out of, but the fact that somebody, says something and then all of a sudden it's like it kicks open the door and everybody's had an experience, right? And then especially with TV, like a certain tight t-shirt wearing gentleman, I'll call him, and that's it. I mean, and before him, it was the two Roto-Rooter guys. I'm not saying any names, but my point is that they kind of made it more mainstream to talk about these type of things. Anything that's on TV, and I'm sorry, it's not reality TV, as most of you know, even though they claim it is, same as with tattoos. That drove me crazy with tattoos. I've run into so many people, I want a tattoo, I'm going to get a tattoo. And it's like, okay, well, what are you getting? Well, I don't know what I want yet. I just need a tattoo. I need a tattoo. And it's like, you do realize that's permanent, right? And I'm not being disrespectful. I have tattoos. I've drawn some on myself, or not on myself. I've drawn the art for them. But every one of my tattoos, it's nobody else has one. It's because I consider it artwork. Plus, there's a story behind it. But right, it came out in reality TV, which isn't reality TV. Remember all those tattoo shows? And then I could not believe the amount of people out there that want to get tattoos just because they saw it on TV. And then recently, this came up. Either I'm always reading or listening to something. Apparently, they're coming up with a tattoo ink that only lasts about 3 years because they are finding so many people either wanting laser technology to get the tattoo removed or to have a cover-up done. So that's got to say something when they're starting to look at semi-permanent tattoo ink in case you make a mistake. And, my number one rule, I always told my eldest son, he's got a ton of tattoos. I said, first of all, it's got to mean something so that you're not going to look at it when you're 90 and go, what the heck did I get this for? And I said, please don't ever get somebody's name tattooed on you. And if it's maybe your mother, I'm always going to be your mom or something. I said, but otherwise, and I'm not being fatalist here, but it's just not a good idea. I don't know why, but I'm sorry, but it's usually not a good idea. And our faith inspired transformation says, hey, sorry I'm late, I'm glad you're here. So Janie says, I love that. Me and my paranormal friends used to do that at dinner parties, put a crack in the paranormal door. One time we had a humorless sitting federal judge, ooh, that would be funny, telling us about the resident ghosts in her old plantation home. No way. It is always so much fun, and people come out of the woodwork with stories. Yeah, that's where I was going with this. Like people you would never even think consider the paranormal. And it's like everybody has a story, but and I don't know why you just can't talk about it. Like, for example, I don't have this doctor anymore, and I wish I did, because she's the reason why I can sit here now and actually do some podcasting and be able to sit. And she was from Pakistan, and I got to know her so well. She used to actually call me her sister, not in an inappropriate way or anything that way. Just she is just one of the most caring, kindest doctors, and we need more doctors like her in the field. And I'd been seeing her for a couple of years, and we were living in our previous home. And I finally plucked up the courage to mention what we were going through in our home. And I just about fell off my chair because, you know what she said to me? She goes, "Oh my gosh, Lorilei, why did you not tell me this before?" And I said, especially with being a nurse, right? I said, because I didn't want you to 5150 my butt and sign me into a 72-hour psychiatric hold or something. And she goes, "Oh gosh, no." She goes, "Back in my country," she said, "we call them jinn." And she said, "I think in your language you would call them a genie." She said, "But we had good jinn," which she said, "I think you would call them angels. And we have bad jinn, which we would call demons." And then she started telling me about various things she had witnessed as a little girl. And then she actually sent me a link to YouTube. It was some kind of Pakistani East Indian type prayer that was recited out loud. I did give it a try. I don't think it made it any better or any worse, but I still appreciate the fact that, and especially to hear from somebody's different religion and culture, because I have always been fascinated by jinn. What about you guys? Like, you guys hear me how many times I've said Nuke's top 5 on YouTube? I like him because he's a bit of a skeptic. He doesn't tell you what to think, tries to debunk things if he can, but it never ceases to amaze me that depending on where the video comes from, if it's over in China or especially in Japan, I don't know how many videos I've seen of something caught on camera, something caught on video, and it looks like the girl from The Ring. And sorry, excuse me, I'm still live, Lovey. I know. Okay, sorry, my son's coming in to check, my youngest. Or you look over in South America. Now there is crazy stuff. I don't know why I have seen so many video clips of what I would call the rake. Oh, geez, now you're going to get into the trailer park boys. Sorry, of the rake. Haven't seen too many chupacabras or anything like that, but definitely many videos of the rake. And I have seen some strange, weird stuff from South America. And then it just depends on where you go. And it just seems to me, why do we seem to have, like, again, that's where I was going with the Middle East. It seems like there's so many video clips that Nuke's top 5 get sent in. It looks like a black shadowy creature, and they're usually praying from the Quran. And they always go alone. I don't know why they do, but I can't begin to tell you some of the things. And they always say they're out to clear or to capture a jinn in these abandoned buildings. And the things I have seen on video, and it's not always the same person. I remember there was one time this guy was exploring this abandoned building over in the Middle East, and apparently it was notoriously haunted by some jinn. And he grabbed a piece of paper out of the cupboard. It looked like it had blood on it. It was red. And as he went to grab it, it lit on fire in his hand. Like, it was crazy. But my whole point is, why do we see these things geographically, depending, oh, there's my light back on, geographically, depending on where we live? Like, doesn't that seem strange? Like, to me, it's got to be a collective belief system that manifests these type of things. Because if it's the paranormal and it's strange and it's weird, right? We should be able to see any of these things anywhere around the world, especially if they're interdimensional or coming from lower dimensions. So why do we only see them in certain parts of the world? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going to read some of these comments here. So Sandra, I think it written, oh, Michelle, sorry. Okay, where was I? Oh, you passed out, Michelle? Okay, so Michelle said, "Good day, Faith," or Linda. And Michelle says, "I passed out when I got one." Oh, really? And then Linda says, "Zach, mid-Canadian accent is one thing. You got to try an East Coast accent. Isn't that right, Linda? How about Newfoundland?" Oh, God. And Michelle said, "When I got my one and only tattoo." Oh, seriously? I think, well, Dell and I have, instead of wedding rings, we have our initials. Dell has a symbol for Dell. And then, so he put an extra I'm trying to go backwards here, blue line there. So it's like DL for his last name and then LP, sorry, going backwards, LP for me. So we have those on our wedding rings fingers. And I have this one, I can't turn my hand well enough, but I've drawn that. There's so much, I'll see if I can turn it. So much symbology, like everything. I'll see if I can turn it. All kinds of symbology and you name it, I have put into the drawing to put it on there. This one, no, it was cleaned up by the tattoo artist. It was actually drawn by my eldest when he was 10 years old. And it's got my, can I turn it the right way? It's got my son's names intersecting. God, I can't do things backwards here. Okay, there. So Justin, my youngest, and then Logan across the bottom is half a heart and an angel wing. Then on the back of my neck, I drew right back here. You can't see it. It's about this big and it's a yin yang, but it's actually a Pegasus, like the exact opposite color wise, and it makes a yin yang. Then on my lower back, I have three dolphins. I have a mama dolphin, a middle child-sized dolphin, and a baby dolphin for my boys. Then I have a unicorn here. I'm trying to think where else I have them. I have lots of tattoos. So I'll tell you the one that was the worst, Michelle, so you don't feel so bad. I didn't pass out, but it was so bad here on my lower abdomen. My skin was spasming. Like I wasn't doing it. It was from the pain. So I hear you. I hear you. So let's see. Excuse me. So I'm reading. Oh, this keeps going up. I don't know why. So depends, Zach says, on the East Coast accent. Where am I going? I'm bi-dialectual and can switch to my native Western Pittsburghese accent on and off. I have not heard that from you, Zach. I'll have to check that out. And then Linda, her face says Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Oh my gosh. I need to watch more Trailer Park Boys to pick up that Nova Scotia accent. Oh my God, Zach, I love the Trailer Park Boys. Do you know about their app? They should be having a special on April the 20th, 420, to join it. I got to find the name of it. As I say, I love it. I'm signed up with it, and it is the best. Let me find it for you here. Not music and movies. It's called the Trailer Park Boys SwearNet. So it's paid content, most of it. But oh my gosh, talk about freaking hilarious. For those of you who don't know who the Trailer Park Boys are, they originally, the series came out years ago. Three guys that are actually friends, and they play Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles. And you probably have seen memes with Bubbles with these thick Coke bottle glasses, hair slicked back, plaid shirt, and he's like this in the picture. I'm sure you've seen them because I've seen memes with Bubbles in it. And they were in a fictitious trailer park called Sunnyvale, and it was in on the East Coast in Canada. And it was like they were being followed around to film a reality show. Believe me, not family friendly, I'll put it that way. But absolutely hilarious, including Bubbles, who doesn't sound anything like Bubbles in real life, nor does he look like it. He was a major Rush fan. So Alex Lifeson from Rush has been on there, Sebastian Bach. I mean, I could go on and on. It's, if you can look it up. Now, you may not find it funny, but once you get into it, like Ricky can't speak English properly. So there's things known as Rickyisms, and like he calls raccoons rakins. And I could go on and on and on. And Julian is never anywhere without a black, speaking of tight t-shirt wearing gentleman, a black t-shirt. And he's always walking around with his Ryan Coke, like never anywhere. He could be in the bathroom. He could be in the pool. He could be driving, and he always has this glass. So believe me, quite hilarious. You have to have a certain sense of humor, I guess, but it's pretty funny. So Linda says, buddy, dem Trailer Park Boys just over the road from me. Gotta laugh driving through, but be sure to keep it between the mustard and the mayo. Yeah, that's part of the accent over there. It sure is. And then Michelle says, yeah, that's where I had mine. Well, no wonder you passed out, Michelle, with the tattoo. That's like pretty, I hear there. And also on your rib cage is supposed to be one of the worst places to get a tattoo. It's really painful. They're the modern version of Bob and Doug. So Bob and Doug McKenzie. You have to kind of be our age, I think, to know Bob and Doug McKenzie are. So anybody who knows who Saturday Night Live is, and Lorne McMichaels, who started it, he had a Canadian version called SCTV. John Candy was on there, Eugene Levy, and yeah, that's where Bob and Doug McKenzie come from too. So you have to look them up. They used to call everybody a hoser and dress up pretty funny. So they used to wear their toques instead of hats and all Canadianisms. I forgot about those guys. Sounds like, would you say Huzos here in Australia? I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of that. You'll have to tell us about that in the chat, Michelle. Yeah, Trailer Park Boys have been around for a long time. Long time. It was filmed in Enfield, which is 20 minutes from here. They drew so much attention that they are in trailer parks all over the province. That I can't believe there would ever exist a trailer park like Sunnyvale, let me tell you, with the illegal stuff they did. I didn't bring up the illegality of things that they do, but I did hint at it with 420, with April the 20th. So I was asking you guys, are we talking paranormal? Are we talking TV? What are we talking here? So Howie, you were saying, if you're still here, you might have had it. I know you're usually working, but so what I wanted to ask you guys about is, have any of you guys seen fairies? Have you seen fairies? How about elves, dwarves, anything like that? Elementals, water spirits, tree spirits, anything to that effect? Have you guys seen anything like that, or heard of anybody that's witnessed it in your neck of the woods? Because here, I've always loved fairies and unicorns and things like that. I always do up a major fairy garden in the summertime, and I'm not sure what it is, but every person going by, even people I don't know, will stop and talk. And it's not like I have an amazing garden. It's just a lot of color and stuff. And I guess people that haven't seen things usually like what I'll be doing out there, so they stop to talk. So I'm just reading. Also, Linda says, or sorry, Michelle said they swear a lot. Oh, yeah, they do with the Trailer Park Boys too. Yeah, that's why I said it's not family friendly. So I've been thinking about that, and then I've been joking because I have a problem with gnomes. I do. If there's a holiday, I have to have it. Like I have a gnome wreath I made for Valentine's Day. I have a gnome wreath out there right now. I'm making a bumblebee in black and yellow. I don't even really like yellow. Bumblebee gnome wreath. And so that's my new joke. I have a problem with gnomes because I do. Every holiday, our house is done up in gnomes. But where do gnomes come from, right? Where does all this come from, right? So, and then if you were here last week and we had Sonia Roy on, and we were talking about, she wanted to talk about hybrids, as she called them. So humans having some of the energy of the elemental world. And she was talking about her having dragon energy. And then when I told her the long story about, and kind of having it confirmed about who I sort of was in a past life, and she said that I'm probably going to quote it wrong. I think she said I was a royal elf. That was interesting, right? And then we got into all these different. You had a really fun Estes session on Saturday. Well, let's talk about it. What happened with the Estes session? For people that don't know what an Estes session is, you go to a place, usually, it doesn't always have to be. There could be activity where you don't know where it is, but you're basically in sensory deprivation. So your eyes are covered, you're in noise canceling headphones, and it's usually a place with paranormal activity, so that you're connected kind of to a communication device of some type to communicate with spirit. So usually it's something to do with ITC. And then the other person usually is in another room and is asking questions of the paranormal or spiritual entity that is there. But the person that is in sensory deprivation is the one that will speak out the answer as they hear it. And they're hearing it from the communication device, without hearing the question. So it's quite interesting, some of the things that come through and come out. I'm going to get to what you've written here. So Zach says, I always wonder if there are water spirits for man-made waterways, and or do water spirits still exist in places where natural waterways have dried up? Interesting. So water spirits for man-made waterways. I'm going to say yes, because the water's going to come from somewhere, right? Plus, we have to look at the land, right? We know with residual paranormal hauntings that it's the land usually that's hanging on to the energy, and it could be something that was tragic, not always. And a residual haunting, right? It always seems to happen at the same time, over and over and over and over, sort of repetitive. There's very little usually interaction with the humans that are around. It's either just something you can feel, sense, see, or hear, right? So to me, water is such a huge energy conductor, first of all, plus even a man-made waterway, right? Especially if it's populated with nature, what have you, that brings all kinds of energy, plus whatever the land held as well. So again, when you say water spirits still exist in places where natural waterways have dried up, I keep feeling a big yes, but then depends, I guess, what they're depending on. Like if they're connected solely with the water, to me, no, these are just my thoughts. I want to hear yours. I would think that they would go with wherever the water goes. So if it evaporates, maybe they evaporate. Like the spirit can move, right? It's not limited. We're humanizing this. So maybe is it moving to another source of water? Plus, there's also all kinds of water under the ground. Even though a natural waterway may have dried up, there's all kinds of water under the ground. So do they just go underground? I don't know. So Linda or Faith asks, I've seen a light in the lake across the road. I watched it for about 2 minutes and it disappeared. A week later, I saw the same light in the woods behind the house. Been told it's my shaman. Hmm, interesting. And I've been seeing and hearing a lot of people experiencing what you're experiencing. And I'm not saying that it wasn't unique and incredible, Linda, about what you did, but it's been very fascinating to me because it keeps reminding me of that Disney movie Brave, right? When Merida, the little heroine, the little red-haired heroine, and she keeps following the will-o-wisps, like with the light, right? And everything else. I don't know. I guess you got to ask yourself. I know you're fairly intuitive, Linda. So if you believe that it might be your shaman, maybe it is. Almost feel like maybe it's more of a nature spirit, but shamanism does tend to center around a lot to do with nature. So Sandra, you said, I sense air and water elementals. So I'm really interested, Sandra, what do you mean by air elementals? Like, are you talking about something like a spirit with the wind? Or I'd love to hear what you mean by that. And then Faith says, I would love to do that. Anything strong come through, Sandra? Exactly. That's why I said, tell us about your Estes experience. Oh, okay. She wrote down below. So Michelle says, couldn't a water spirit transform as water transforms? Exactly, Michelle. I think we're on the same page here. So could it transform? Yeah. Or like I said, we're kind of humanizing it, or I am, when I'm thinking if it evaporates, does it evaporate with the water and follow it as it goes back up into the atmosphere? And then I truly believe spirit gave me this. Well, what about the water that goes into the ground? Right. And there are waterways and all kinds of water stuff deep below the ground. So is that where it goes? I don't know. We'll have to talk more about that. So Sandra says regarding her Estes experience, it wasn't the one in sensory deprivation, but I participated. Oh, okay. So you'll have to let me know. Oh, sorry. I wasn't the one in sensory deprivation, but I participated. Okay. So were you the one asking the question, Sandra? Um, it it have a rambunctious spirit crew, and they were in party mode. The resident spirit was less than thrilled with all the intrusion of all of us. Well, you can't really blame him or her if that's their humble abode, if you will, regardless of whether it's humble or not, right? And you have all these people traipsing in, and I always have thought about this, and it makes sense to me. just because, and I'm not saying this is where you were, Sandra, this is just in general. We're walking into, say, a rundown, dilapidated, dusty, cobwebby old space, right? And that's what it looks like to us. But say you do have resident spirits there, what does it look like to them? Maybe it doesn't look that way to them. Maybe it still looks like the place that when it was in all its glory, it still looks that way to them from that side, right? It makes sense, doesn't it? Hard to say. Like, I know with studying some paranormal stories and things like that, and you'll hear about spirits going through certain walls and then ending up somewhere else, right? And then there'll be people that'll look at what the landscape of the house used to look like before, and there actually maybe was a doorway through that point before. And I remember one in particular, it had to do with a lot of residual energy. Like, why did this spirit always show up at a certain time and keep walking through the wall at a certain time and do whatever? And when they got into the history of the house, there actually used to be a doorway. And I forget where that doorway connected, but it actually made sense if it was a residual haunting or energy, that why they were walking through the wallway, because in their time period of when they were living in the house, there was a actual doorway to go through. Yeah, so Sandra writes, air equals wind. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. No, I have to be really honest. That is one of the spirit elements I have not really looked into a lot, but now I want to. So what did you find? What do you find out when you connect with the wind? I'm dying to hear. I just heard that it whispers many messages. I don't know if that's what it does, but I'm sure you'll let us know. And cool. So you guys did the Estes method. Did you get some feedback that made a lot of sense with the Estes method, Sandra? Because you know who usually I've seen do it a lot is the Paranormal Files with Colin and his dad Jeff. They do it quite a bit on YouTube. And then it's not well, Paranormal Nightmare does sometimes. I like I said, I watch a lot of YouTube because it's on, right? Paranormal Nightmare does, and I'm trying to remember the other one. It's Paranormal something. It's two young guys, Ryan and what's his name? Dave. Ryan and Dave. They do the Estes quite a bit. So Sandra says, when I go to the ocean, I sense the call of water spirits to play in the surf. Aw. You know what book really touched me? Well, it was the Chronicles. It was the Chronicles of Narnia, because about the animals being able to speak at certain times, and they get into the dryads and the naiads and all of the nature spirits and stuff like that. That's such a cool story. And when you write a book with that many books in it, I mean, the biggest book that they made the movie out of was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? But there were so many stories in there. I know they did Prince Caspian, but it didn't really do that great. But there were so many incredible stories in there, and about being on the sea and the difference in time, like just going through the closet. And when you look at all that stuff, I know for myself, when I look at it, yes, I do understand that there were some drugs around even way back in the day, but it makes me think that in some way C.S. Lewis must have channeled some of this stuff, because anybody that writes stuff like that, like I know I said years ago with Star Trek and Star Wars, that they must have been channeled, like Gene Roddenberry must have been channeling that story. And now you hear bits and pieces that he did get some of this, or even Steve Jobs with the iPhone, depending on where you look and what rock you overturn, I mean, proverbial, that Steve Jobs actually did channel some of the technology that went with the iPhone. So, Ken says, Mike Semenik says, ho or hi? Hi, Mike Semenik. Haven't seen you in years. I used to go to high school with Ken and Mike. Sandra says, angry teenage girl was a disgruntled spirit during Estes. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So were you guys able to help her at all, Sandra? Or you just kind of had to let her be and do her thing? And Michelle says, I always check the backs of wardrobes in case. You never know, because I, you know what? I always say just because I haven't seen it or experienced it doesn't mean it didn't happen, because the amount of weird and strange and incredible, unexplainable things I have experienced in my own lifetime, and especially that last house I was in, that even I should just write a book about all the weird and strange things that have happened. I'm sure people would tell me I was crazy, I was on drugs, I had the most crazy imagination, but I am telling you, some of the things I have experienced, had I not been there myself, I wouldn't have believed if somebody had told me they had happened. Excuse me. So, Linda says, when you have an intelligent spirit, do they make a sound when they go through a wall? Molecules disrupted have to go back in line. That's an interesting question. So, just my theory on it, an intelligent spirit. So, if you think about an intelligent spirit, you think about who we are, we're just energy. Like, I think we're humanizing it again. Like, a spirit doesn't have a body or a corporeal body like we do. Can they appear in a body form? Yes. But I have to say that there's not the molecules that we would have as in a human body. I don't know. I could be wrong. See what you guys think. But to me, it's not quite the same thing. So, and then you get into with astral travel and things, right? Like, and there's the theory that every night when we dream, we actually astral travel, and that we go back to our bodies because we have the proverbial silver cord, right? So when we actually leave this lifetime, that's the only time that cord is severed, so that we're always able to find our way back. But I don't know. To me, I guess you can ask everybody else and see what they think. Yeah, energy can disrupt energy. That's true. I'm not sure what you mean, Ken, by spirits in different dimensions. I think what Linda or Faith was referring to was like when you have an intelligent spirit and they're walking through a wall. So she wanted to know if it makes a sound. Well, I can honestly tell you through my own personal experience in my previously haunted home that there was no sound with spirits walking through walls, with spirits doing all kinds of things. And you guys have heard some of the strange stuff that's happened, including the female shapeshifter that was in my previous home has taken my form in that previous home. Always hit Dell or did stuff to Dell. I have no idea why. I've never hit anybody. Um, so I always say the more we open this door, the bigger and larger I realize it is when it comes to knowledge or things to discover or learn about versus what we consider just regular life. Like regular life just seems so minuscule, and I'm not minimizing it because I don't know everything with regular life, but what I'm saying, it just seems like you just seem to think you understand something when we open this Pandora's box, if you will, and it's like, holy crap, like that's barely scratching the surface. So it's hard to say, right? Yeah, Ken, I just haven't told you a lot about our story, but yes, I have had what I don't know if I call it a doppelganger, but yeah, it's happened twice in the previous home. Yeah, the house is still there, yes. Hmm. And yeah, I don't know if the new homeowners have any problems with it or not. I'm not in contact with them, so I have no idea. So Michelle says, can waking up be why we feel the way we do that day? Because if we leave our body when sleeping, not going back correctly can affect our day. Well, that's where I was going to go with that. You're always going to go back to your body. You're not going to not be able to go back to your body. Sometimes, like I know people that can astral travel at will. I have heard of people that have gone too far, say they just start doing it. And because they go too far, they can actually get like snapped back into their body. They'll hear a snap and it can actually be a little bit painful, like somebody taking an elastic band and snapping you with it. So no, I'm going to say no, because you're always going to go back to your body. And then when you look at near-death experiences, and again, I've not spoken to every single human that has had a near-death experience, but I've heard countless accounts of people that when they go to return to their bodies, that it's not their time to leave, or they've been given the decision they can stay, or they can go back to their body. That when the person does, which each of them always says, is they're absolutely shocked how easy it was to go back into the body. They didn't have to think about it. They didn't have to, some of them explain it as in spirit form, just laying right back on the body and laying back and going right back into the body. So it's not difficult to go into the body. So I think there's other things though, Michelle, when you said why we feel the way we do when we wake up. So there's all kinds of things. Heck, we could do a whole show on that. But, there's ley lines sometimes. I've taken a course with Marie Diamond, and it's called Diamond Dowsing. And it's looking at ley lines and underground water and the way these type of things can actually affect our energy. And she's told a few stories about her own personal experiences about within her own home, like in the bedroom, for example, or whatever. Could be what you experienced in your dream. I mean, there's so many things that could affect the way you feel, the way you do when you wake up. If you've ever been woken up with the feeling of someone sitting on your bed or laying on top of you as you're returning from your travels, well, could be, but I can't say always, Faith or Linda. I can't, because I can tell you I have been choked in my home, and I wasn't quite awake and I wasn't quite asleep, and it was not sleep paralysis. I actually got up. It was the morning of one of my birthdays. I remember this. It happened 3 times, and I would get up and I would feel like I was being choked. I couldn't breathe. After I thought about it, I thought, my God, if I passed out or something, nobody would have found me. So again, these are all these topics you guys are coming up with right now. And you know what? I got to run on you guys tonight. I'm sorry we're a little shorter. Sorry, I can't even talk. Shorter. But I have to head over to Lorian Fenton's network. So I'm going to give you guys the address again because you guys were asking me at the beginning. But also stay tuned if you can too, because the Horsefly Chronicles are coming up next with Julia and Phil Syracusa. They have an amazing show. They always have amazing guests. So let me get the address in case you want to pop over to Lorian's. I don't even know if we're on video or not. Oh, wrong one. I don't even know if we're on video. I didn't ask her. So now she's trying to find me. I've told her I'm live. This is why I have to run. So anyway, she is over. We'll be live in about 10 minutes or so. It is, where did she write this down? Hang on. Sorry. So HTTPS, okay, //revolution.radio. And then she's got Studio A, the Fenton Perspective. So I imagine if you look up revolution.radio and look up Studio A, the Fenton Perspective. So if you guys ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. You got a show idea, guest suggestion. You ever want to book a reading with me, healing sessions? I do mentoring. I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for many of the spiritual things we've talked about in this chat as well today. I will be back on Thursday with my co-host, David Hansel, with The Thing at the Foot of the Bed from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, you guys have a good couple days. I'm so glad you guys were here tonight, and I enjoyed the conversation too, as I always do. I send you all so much love and light, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Okay, we'll see you on Thursday.